Hello, welcome to the Entrepreneurs Network. I'm Rick Anthony. As the founder of the Entrepreneurs Network, one of the region's most acclaimed venues for aspiring and serial entrepreneurs, angel investors, and other members of the entrepreneurial ecosystem in this region, I see a lot of deal flow and I see an awful lot of people, all interesting people, all passionate about their ventures, all totally invested in what they're doing. Every so often, I come across someone who not only fits that profile, but goes beyond that. Someone who defines success as doing well by doing good. My guest today fits that profile. Geoffrey Kent is CEO of Cognis IT Advisors, a business acceleration and management consulting firm that has won several awards as an exemplar of what a fast growth company should be. He's also co-founder of the Item Ventures, a private equity firm created to invest in and lend to high-quality entrepreneurs, many of whom may be veteran, minority, or women-owned or managed businesses in the greater Philadelphia area. But that's only part of the story, and I'll leave the rest of the story to Geoffrey Kent. Welcome, Geoffrey, to the Entrepreneurs Network.
Thank you.
Delighted to have you. When we first met, I was impressed by so many things. First of all, you're a very busy person.
Yes.
You've already accomplished a lot in 31 years since you left the Wharton School, I guess, with your MBA. So much of what you do and your life has been invested in helping other people,
Absolutely.
which is what we're here to talk about today. But let's talk a little bit about the profit side, the for-profit side of your life.
Sure, absolutely.
And how you got to where you are as founder and CEO of Cognis IT Advisors. And Cognis is Latin for thinking?
Cognitive.
Cognitive,
Yes.
okay.
So,
4 years of Latin paid off.
yeah. So Cognis was formed with two co-founders in 2007. So the business is 8 years old, but it actually came about as a result of some of these philanthropic things that I do. I have a great passion for mentoring other entrepreneurs, particularly young entrepreneurs. I'm hoping to make a mark on the entrepreneurial community by helping others. So probably about 10 years ago, a young entrepreneur that, or actually he was just a young gentleman at the time. He had never started a business before, but he was someone that I had hired into a client in a former consulting firm I had, and he reached back out to me and you know, said he and his brother-in-law, who was in the tech space, wanted to start a company. But they had never done this before and wanted to just get my advice. And so over the course of having dinner, you know, talk them through all of the aspects of starting a business, primarily, you know, starting with writing a business plan. It was a concept they weren't familiar with. So I ended up helping them write their business plan. And at the end of the process, they asked if I would consider buying equity in the business and running the company, which after my wife gave me permission to do,
Oh, you were one of those too?
Yes, yeah. I'm smart enough to know.
I wish I'd listened to my wife.
So yeah, I joined the business when it started as the CEO. I bought 51% of the equity in the business. We certified ourselves as a minority-owned company, and you know, went full blazes after the marketplace.
Have a happy ending?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Did you exit?
Well, what we were able to do was structure, after being in business 5 to 6 years, an exit for the business partners. We split about 2 years ago. So I kept the name of the company because
I see.
You know, everyone knows, you know, when they think of Cognis IT Advisors, they think of me. They've always seen my face at events. So I wanted to keep the name of the company. So we structured a deal where I kept the name of the company, and then I sold them the client base. Okay. And so now. Yeah.
But when you came out of the blocks 7, 8 years ago, you came out fast.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were watching and paying attention.
Right.
And you won, let me see, you had the bragging rights as one of Inc. magazine's fastest growth private companies in the U.S.
Right.
And a number of other accolades from regional and Philadelphia, Center City. How did you do that? As you know, it's so hard
Well, it's a
to
lot
get
of,
that first client,
yeah.
then the second client, and then worry about, well, do I have enough time to market and deliver the
Right.
services?
So it was a lot of luck. I mean, clearly luck plays a
It
factor.
sure does.
But
Or
it was
lack
all,
of.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But it was also, I think we sat down and did some extremely comprehensive planning as to what we wanted to do. I've always told, when I talk to other entrepreneurs, I always tell them that you should start a business with the exit in mind.
Yes.
And so figure out where you want to,
Yes.
what you want the exit to be like, when you want it to have to happen, and in what form, and then kind of work your way back. Then it becomes a lot easier to figure out from year to year, where do I need to be to make that exit happen whenever it is that you want to have that exit happen. So we did that type of planning up front, and then we really just. Sometimes it's good to be naive. We just attacked the marketplace.
Yes.
We had the plan in place. We knew when we wanted to exit, and as I said, we just very aggressively went after the market. One of the first thing that really happened, and it happened in our first year, I guess one of the elements that's different about our entity, has been different about our entity, is the relationships that I have in the community. I've again always been a huge proponent of giving back, and so I sit on a number of boards, and so I'm well known throughout the Philadelphia area because of the work that I do on the boards that I give my time to, and through those I had met a number of people at the Philadelphia School District, a number of high-profile people at the school district, and through those relationships was told that there was an opportunity coming up in the IT support service arena. As soon as that opportunity came out,
Right.
I decided, well, why shouldn't we bid on this?
Sure.
Even though we had no experience doing this, and we realized early on that in order to shore up the gap we had in terms of experience, we needed to partner with someone.
Yes.
And fortunately, we were reselling Dell equipment, so we actually reached out to Dell and asked if they would partner. And surprisingly, sometimes if you ask, you have 50% chance of hearing yes, and we heard yes. And it's, I think, through that
So that
strategic
gave you the
alliance.
gravitas you needed
Exactly.
at the time.
So we won a 5-year, $12.5 million contract
Really?
in our first year.
Right out of the blocks.
Partnering with Dell
Yeah.
to service the school district of
Well,
Philadelphia.
that was more than luck.
Yeah, yeah. And then it was, I think at that point, once you have work, it's the quality of work you do
Yes.
after that point that propels you.
And at some point, you can feel the momentum.
Right, right.
You know you're moving, and you
Yeah.
can feel the momentum, the wind behind your
Right.
back.
So we had at that point our objective was to over deliver.
Yes.
And we did that with the early projects we got with the school district, and then what ended up happening, there was so much positive momentum that happened as a result
Yes.
of the great work we did, that Dell started to bring us into other opportunities. They brought us into their contract with the city of Philadelphia, and that led to private sector work as people started to hear about the
As
company.
you've already intimated, even before you started Cognos, you had a very busy life.
Yes, absolutely.
On the IT side or the professional side, many times on the payroll of other organizations,
Right.
but also as an independent consultant. The one that really struck me was you served as technical management consultant to the U.S. Embassy and the American Consulate General in the Netherlands.
Yes.
What was that like? And was that on site?
Yes, it
Were
was
you
on
living
site.
in
Yeah,
the-
so I've had the fortunate luck of, I have two unbelievable parents. My father is a career military officer, so he retired from the Air Force in the mid-1970s. He was a colonel in the Air Force. So through that life, I was able to live and work and study in multiple continents. And so when I decided to go to graduate school, I came to the University of Pennsylvania to the Wharton School of Business to get my MBA. I decided that I wanted to take advantage of a study abroad program that they had. So so my third semester, I studied in the Netherlands at the Rotterdam School of Management. I lived in Amsterdam because a classmate who was Dutch had an apartment in Amsterdam. She allowed me to rent her apartment, and I commuted to Rotterdam on a daily basis. But the one thing that really struck me about the exchange program with Rotterdam School of Management was that the semester was split in half. So the first half of your semester, you took classes at the Rotterdam School of Management, and the second half of your semester, you got an opportunity to actually intern with a Dutch company. So, so what I was able to do was finagle two internships. One with EMI Music, which is one of the largest recorded music companies in the world, which just happens to be Dutch, as well as strike up an internship with the U.S. Embassy and the American Consulate. So the U.S. Embassy is in The Hague, the American Consulate's in Amsterdam.
So that accounts for your interest, from what I read in your biographical material, and we'll get to this in a moment, for your interest in entertainment, music, supporting ventures in music, entertainment, and related areas.
Yeah, I mean,
based on that experience.
Well, it predates that. I mean, I've always had an interest in entertainment. My parents unsuccessfully tried to get me to take piano lessons as a very young child.
You too?
I took 1 year of piano, and then I think they got tired of trying to get me to go to lessons. But something about that kind of stayed with me. And when I went to college, you know, friends that I had heard me singing in the shower, I guess, kind of, and asked me to join, or asked me to audition for a singing group at the school. I was able to get in the singing group, and then that led to... Are you a tenor or
a baritone?
I'm a baritone. I sang tenor, actually, when I was younger, but I'm a baritone. So that led to, I sang in probably 4 or 5 groups when I was in college.
Yeah.
It sang even when I went to graduate school.
Well, as I said, when we visited, we spent some time together, and then you were kind enough to send me the material. I was impressed by the mosaic of your background.
Right.
Somewhat eclectic, and somehow all the pieces fit together. Bringing you to where you are today, and let's make the transition, therefore,
absolutely,
to this other part of your life, and that is the impetus you and your colleagues are trying to provide for nonprofits that have a double or triple bottom line, social entrepreneurship.
Absolutely.
Okay. What is the Item Ventures? Where did the name come from?
Okay.
And I know it's in 3 parts.
Right.
But I'm still trying to get clear in my mind what those 3 parts are.
Okay.
And what the overall model looks like and how it will operate, because it's still relatively new.
Yes, absolutely. It's very, very new.
So it is the Item.
Yes, it is the Item. Item stands for Inclusive Technology and Entrepreneurship Movement.
Okay.
Did
you make up that acronym?
I did not. I cannot take credit for that.
Okay.
I am
Why not? Nobody else was here.
I'm a co-founder of the Item, but I am not the brainchild. I wish I was. So the brainchild is a gentleman by the name of Kahiga Tiaga. Kahiga is a lawyer in Center City, Philadelphia, but he's actually from the continent of Africa. And so I was able to meet Kahiga last year, in 2014. One of the boards asked me to. They were in search of a new CEO, and they were going through some turmoil because they had merged with another organization. So you had this merger, and then they needed a CEO. So it's an organization going through turmoil. The board knew that my background when I was at Deloitte Consulting was in their reorganization services or turnaround management consulting practice. So they knew I had experience dealing in, working in crisis scenarios. And so the board asked if I would step in as the interim CEO until they found a new CEO. So for 6 months last year, I ran this organization. And so Kahiga's law firm reached out to the organization and asked to meet with me. And so, he and several of his associates came in for a meeting. We thought, this might be a 30-minute, normal meeting about, becoming a new member.
You never know.
This half-an-hour meeting lasted about 3.5 hours.
Yes.
and it really struck up a friendship. And Cahiga continued to reach out to me. And at one point, he calls me up and says, you know, I want to get together for coffee. We got together for coffee, and he said, I've got this idea. He said, I'm attracting a lot of minority-owned information technology companies. He said, but the thing I find really intriguing is that when I ask them, for instance, do you know Geoffrey Kent from Cognos IT or someone else from some other company? He said, none of you guys know each other.
Yeah.
He said, I don't know how that's possible. He said, so the idea I have is for a networking organization that on a monthly basis we would start to get together the minority, female, veteran owned technology firms in the industry in the region, and so that you guys can get to know each other. He said, and then I got, you know, saw this as well. You know, when I'm in board meetings and there's conversation about identifying minority or female IT firms, you know, the first thing you hear is we can't find any. And then when you find them, they don't have the scale to be able to handle the volume of work that a Vanguard or a Deloitte Consulting could give to them. And so we said, okay, well, if we can conquer getting all of the players in the industry to get to know who each other are, maybe the next step is, or maybe what may happen as an outgrowth of them meeting each other is they'll start to collaborate around business opportunities.
Yes.
So that really, you know, when we started ITEM is, I think we just had our 7th meeting. We meet on the 3rd Tuesday of each month. So we just had our 7th meeting, and we actually meet at Pipeline, which is a co-working space in the Graham Building in Center City, Philadelphia. And so, you know, when we started meeting,
That serves as an incubator?
yes, yes.
Okay.
So, so when you know, so through 7 meetings, we've identified 400 to 500 companies that are minority female owned in the IT space in the region.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. So you know, so we're getting to know each other.
Everything from a day old to...
Yeah, absolutely, all across the board. But interestingly enough, as we have these conversations,
Yes.
you know, we hear very commonly two themes. One is, you know, it's difficult to find staff. You know, which I, running Cognos IT in 8 years, I've hired 1 female. It's not that I don't want to hire female.
Yeah.
I would love to hire females. I've placed ads on Monster.com, you know, Craigslist. I've only gotten one female resume in 8 years.
That's
when
amazing.
I posted a job opening.
Yeah.
You know, so so it was, you know, finding talent, and then 2, finding capital. And so what we've done is through the Inclusive Technology and Entrepreneurship Movement, or the ITEM, we've created this networking leg of the organization,
Right.
where we have these monthly meetings and we get together and talk and network with each other. But we've created an academic side or leg of the organization as well, where we're finding that there are organizations like, there's an organization in Center City called Coders for Kids, teaching kids in inner city coding skills. There are organizations like it's called Step It Up America, Step IT Up America, which is teaching coding skills specifically to women. And so we're finding these types of organizations, we're pulling them in and saying, look, well, if you guys are educating the community about technology skills, you know, we want to know who you are, but 2, you then become the pipeline of talent for the companies that are part of the network.
What's the turnout for the monthly meetings?
Probably
I realize it's still early.
we just had a meeting for Minority Enterprise Development Week,
Right.
where we had the city's CIO came and was a keynote speaker. That actually was last week, I think.
All right.
But we had probably, I'm going to say, about 80 to 85 people at that meeting.
That's terrific.
Yeah, yeah. It was very, very well attended.
All minorities,
Yep.
female, and veteran.
Veterans, yep. And so we've also started the ITEM Ventures, which is the funding arm. So that's very new. We actually just incorporated
That's the
2 months
private
ago.
equity?
That's the private equity side. So we're looking to invest in minority, veteran, female-owned IT firms specifically
Right.
in the region. But we're looking to do two things that are very unique. One is we actually want to help them operationally because there's this issue of growing to scale and and understanding how to grow to scale. So we actually want to put operational assistance inside these portfolio companies, one. And then two, there are 8 principles of Item Ventures. 5 of the 8 principles are from outside of the United States. So we actually have access to the global marketplace. And what we're finding as we talk to people outside of the United States is there is a huge desire to find American companies in the tech space
To invest
to invest in that are minority, female, veteran
that
owned.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's money sitting out there waiting.
This money's been sitting on the sidelines since 2008. Yeah.
We're talking seed money. We're talking
Yeah,
startups.
Absolutely.
Because there isn't very much of that here in this
Well,
market.
interestingly enough, we had a meeting, today's Wednesday, on Monday with a placement agent. So, and we're learning this because we're none of the principals have ever
To
done
raise
private equity.
money for the fund.
Right, to raise money for the fund. And one of the individuals that met with us mentioned that he's affiliated with a Canadian private equity organization that is trying to enter the United States specifically to where they see as the opportunity is in the inner city. In parts of the market that have not gotten invested in.
And is the focus exclusively on technology, IT?
Yes, yeah.
It is.
It's
Not other.
either IT companies or companies that are highly leveraging technology to provide their product or
Which
service.
might include life science,
exactly.
bio, pharma.
Yeah, so we have a company that we've been consulting to that is in the healthcare space.
Is this one of the 2 pilots? Because I was
No, actually, this is
because I want to ask you about the 2 pilots that you have.
Absolutely. So no, this is a recent referral to
Okay.
us, but this is a company that provides homes for people for the autistic community.
Yes.
And so under normal circumstances, that wouldn't attract us. What attracts us is the fact that they are leveraging technology that they acquired from MIT to allow families of these autistic people, so the families can monitor what's going on and can monitor that the people are taking medications, eating properly, so on and so forth. The care providers can monitor as well. So this leveraging of technology is what really makes this very
But you
interesting.
said finding homes for people with autism.
Yes, so that they can live independently. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But outside of their parents or other families.
Exactly.
We should talk about that.
Yeah.
Because
Sure,
I didn't realize that was one of your ventures.
Absolutely.
But it's quite recent, you said.
Yeah, it's quite recent. I mean,
And-
again, what we found is that just by going out into the community and saying that we want to create a fund for minority female-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses,
Kicks up a lot of dust.
We are getting the phones are ringing off the hook.
But
saying,
that's
you
the
need to
good
talk
news
to-
and the bad news.
Yeah,
Because you've got to vet all of that, right?
Right, exactly.
God knows there's plenty of
Yeah.
stuff out
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
but not much real opportunity.
Right.
So how do you get from there to here?
So the
Where you've only
good
got a
news
few?
is what we've done is we've created a 90-day vetting process.
Okay.
And so the good news is when you look at the body of the 8 partners and our backgrounds, we all have different backgrounds. Kahiga's a lawyer. My background is
All
in
minorities?
operations. No. We have someone that actually comes from a venture capital community. Someone that comes from commercial banking.
Yes.
So what we've done is we've looked at what are the disciplines involved in running an organization: operations, marketing, sales, finance, so on and so forth, accounting, and we have a partner that specializes in each one of those areas. And so week one, maybe the finance partner vets the financials of the organization.
Okay.
If it passes through that filter, then it might go
So
to
you
market.
literally take them by the hand
Yes, absolutely.
and hold their hand
Right.
as you walk them through the process.
Yeah.
And I assume there are certain milestones, so if they achieve milestones, they go to the next level.
Exactly.
If they can't make it, they either go into the remediation room
Yes.
or they're cut loose because you can't help them.
There are going to be very few that we cut loose. So from my perspective, I'm not sure all my partners share this viewpoint. I think they do. And I'm working on a book around this. But in my mind, the venture capital / private equity model is broken. So the model in venture capital and private equity is we'll filter up front. Very few will make it through that filter.
Yes.
We'll then invest in them. We don't want to do any work past providing capital to
Right.
them. Maybe making some referrals to open some doors for them, but that's the extent of it. We're really not interested in getting involved in their operations. If we have to do that's because there are problems. And so we don't want it to get to that point.
Okay.
So it's very hands off. And that's not the model we want to, And so the other thing about the typical private equity venture capital model is the expectation is, we'll invest in, let's say, 20 companies. We only expect to hit 2 grand slams, and that'll fund,
Right.
at
Make up
least
for all
10
of
of
the-
the failures that we expect to get up
Sure.
front. Well, from my perspective, if you look at, if you study successful companies share common traits. If you infuse those common traits in all companies, you dramatically reduce the probability of failure.
Yes.
And so our model is, let's bring everybody in. Let's try to infuse all those success traits in our clients.
Right.
And let's go from having a 20% success rate to as close to 100% success rate as is humanly
That's
possible.
a heck of a vision.
Yeah.
And that is turning the old
Right,
model upside
exactly.
down and
Yeah.
inside out. Now, the fund that you're raising, obviously the investors are going to get their money back and then some.
Absolutely.
But it's got to be patient money, I guess.
Yeah, so we are, Fund 1, which we are raising now, so we have
much?
not raised it. We're looking to raise $100 million.
Okay.
Once we raise that, we will get the organization certified as a small business investment corporation, which will give us a matching $150 million from the federal government. So the thought is the first fund would be $250,000, or $250 million, I'm sorry, and then we'd start investing in companies.
Take me out 5 years.
Sure.
Again, you're involved in a whole bunch of stuff. I
Yep.
still don't know how you do it.
Yep.
Because I think I counted more than a dozen boards and committees you sit on now.
Right.
And there are probably more than that. And most of them are nonprofits and
Yep.
they're related to business. And I understand how they all
Yep.
kind of funnel
Absolutely.
into
Absolutely.
and feed and enable you to do the things you're doing.
Right.
But take me out 5 years because the control room is saying I'm running out of time.
Okay.
As you look back,
Yeah.
what will be your greatest achievement?
Well,
other than your family?
Yeah. Other than the family, so definitely, hopefully, that's my greatest achievement. But outside of that, again, I had worked with a business coach a few years ago, and early in the process, he asked me, when you die, what do you want your
Yes.
legacy to be?
Yes.
Which I thought was a somewhat morbid question based on my age at the time, but I realized, started very seriously thinking about the question and how I wanted people to answer that question for me when I wasn't here. And then I started to think of all the things that I do in my free time, and it's I've been mentoring other entrepreneurs, and I said, I have a passion for this. What I'd really like to be known for when I'm no longer here is someone who contributed mightily to the next generation of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm sure, God willing, you'll be here 5 years from now and
Yeah.
long beyond that. You mentioned a book. We'll have to talk about that another
Sure,
time. I
absolutely.
didn't realize there was a book in the making.
Okay.
Is there a website?
it's www.cognisit.com.
That's your consultant?
That's the consulting
Is there
side.
a website for the Item Ventures?
We have yet
You're
to form
working
a
on
site
that?
because
Okay.
the business really just got launched as a corporation 2
But
months
if
ago.
someone would like to know more about this, how would they contact you?
Well,
What's-
if they reach out to me at cognisit.com, I can send them information on
Okay.
ventures, and by the time they do that, we will have a site
That's fine.
for Item
Okay.
Ventures as well.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having
You're
me.
on a marvelous venture and journey, I should say, and I wish you well. I know this is the kind of story where I'll be coming back to you in 6 months and asking you, okay, tell me about the
Yeah.
progress you're making, and so we can share it and report it. Thanks again.
Thank you.
My guest today has been Geoffrey Kent, who is an entrepreneur at heart and soul, who has an organization that is intended to help other entrepreneurs, particularly veterans, minorities, and females. This is the Entrepreneurs Network. Until next time, I'm Rick Anthony. Take very good care of yourselves.